And 5.
Aged in their 40s and 50s, the Mermaids Masters team are preparing for the upcoming synchronised swimming nationals in June.
I ended up starting synchronised swimming when my eldest daughter started.
So my daughter is part of the team, so we decided to join.
My daughter started doing it and I thought that it looked like fun.
They're yet to take the plunge into retirement, but they're thinking ahead, and like thousands of other Australians, they have their concerns. Exclusive research from Australian seniors shows almost 80% of members are worried they haven't saved enough for retirement. A quarter say they struggle to pay everyday bills. 10% will delay their retirement age due to COVID.
It would be nice to retire around 60, but I can't see it happening. I think I'll have to be working for a little bit longer.
Many Australians aim to retire from the age of 60, but the reality is a lot of us won't.
I've been at Puff and Billy as an employee for 24 years. I'm 67 years old. I trained as a signalman and a fireman. A lot of my friends have already retired. What retirement looks like for me, I can't see at the moment.
I'm here really to make a living, to pay my bill. I'm 65. I can't afford to retire.
I'm principal of a couple of schools and I write books, and I'm 70 years old. I'm a bit puzzled by the idea of retirement. The concept of it doesn't appeal to me. One of my mantras that I use quite frequently is, today's the youngest I'll ever be. And so I tell myself if I'm feeling a bit tired, well, I'll never be as young as this again.
I first started helping my dad in 1947. My name is Wen Chin, and I've been at this market for over 70 years. I'm 83. I spend 7 days a week at the market here. I just keep on going, I won't retire.
We spend a long time thinking about the best way to save for retirement, but the decisions are far from over once you stop working, especially when it comes to the best way to use any savings you've been able to put away.
This is the problem, that people, through confusion, ignorance, complexity, are not getting the retirement outcome they could achieve and ending up leaving large balances as inheritances. You can look at changing the minimum drawdown. The bulk of people take that as their drawdown rate, which is not designed to help people achieve their retirement outcome.
The minimum drawdown is the legislated amount required to be withdrawn from a superannuation account each year, depending on your age.
Superannuation was never meant to be an untouchable nest egg on which you only live on the income. It was always there to draw down the capital as you work through your retired life. And that's why you get a tax concession, a generous tax concession going into superannuation, so that you eat the capital as you retire.
Right, but are you thinking about increasing the minimum drawdown? Do you think that would be a good idea?
I think that we should make sure that superannuation is flexible for retirees, as both in the accumulation phase and in the de-accumulation phase. You know, people are best placed to know how to spend their own money and when they spend their own money, and it's not really a liberal philosophy to force people to make those sorts of decisions. That said, we want to make sure that people have the options available to them to do so effectively, to spend their retirement income as efficiently, as effectively as possible, so that they have a high standard of living in retirement, which of course is the aim of the system.
The recent Retirement Income Review concluded that using savings more efficiently in retirement could have a bigger impact on improving income than increasing the superannuation guarantee. Michael Callaghan, who headed the Retirement Incomes Review, says that you could leave it at 9.5% and everyone would still end up with a decent income in retirement. if they use their capital more efficiently, by which he means that they eat the capital.
Eat the capital, yeah.
Yeah. So what he says is, in fact, that the system was designed for that it wasn't designed for people to simply live off income. It was designed for people to actually live off the capital as well. Is that true?
Yeah, he wouldn't know. I designed the system. I used to say to the party, to the caucus of the Labor Party, what superannuation is about is personal empowerment. That is, you can cut the shape of your life, particularly at the end of your life, without reference to a government agency, without running down to Centrelink or working out what happens to you with the pension. In other words, you're in charge of your money. What they're saying is basically, look, 9.5 is enough if you eat all the capital. In other words, there's nothing. But they're also saying this, you can spend it however you like. You can run down to the casino, you can blow your roll at the casino, but they're saying don't give any inheritance to the children. Right? So it's all right to blow the roll, blow your money, but don't give any to your kids. I think superannuation, I think people in retirement think in family terms. I don't think they just think in personal terms.
But let's be clear about what you intended back in 1992. Did you intend that some of the superannuation would be retained and passed on to the kids or not?
Yeah, yes, basically, yeah. For people to do with, that's the empowerment point, to do what they like with it. I'm not opposed to using some of the capital, but I'm opposed to the state telling you you've got to burn it all out.
Years ago, you could get 6% interest on a term deposit at the bank. A retiree with, say, $500,000 of super could put it in the bank and make $30,000 in interest without taking any risk. But not anymore. Even before the pandemic, it was down to 2%. Now, 1%. Now, $500,000 in the bank at that rate would only make you $5,000. You simply cannot live on bank interest anymore. With interest rates this low, retirees are losers, but borrowers are winners. As a result, many retirees are having to take more risk and eat their capital, including the house, such as with a reverse mortgage, although they do have their pitfalls. According to exclusive data from Household Capital, couples in their late 60s to mid-70s are their biggest adopters of reverse mortgages, closely followed by single women in the same age bracket. For pensioners like Guy Fletcher Davies, it's been a much-needed income boost during retirement.
I'm 83 and I live in a little bit of paradise up here in Dalrymple Heights, about 100 k's west of Mackay.
Born in England in 1937, Guy served in the British Army and then became a carpet designer. He moved to Australia in the 60s.
I got a reverse mortgage in 2011 after a prostate cancer operation. I was very thankful to have it because I was able to pay the children back who'd all donated towards the operation, which turned out to be a lot more expensive than any of us anticipated. So I am on the pension, $472 a week, and I live beyond my means. I've got rates to pay, gas, electricity, petrol, and buy food. Just reach for $400 every week for a month and see how you go paying the bills. Reverse mortgage to a degree has been my saviour. I've borrowed $75,000 to be here over the last 17 years. They're handy, I'd be lost without it. The only problem is, and I can't quite understand why, with the way the banks are and they're supposed to be helping, that they're still charging the interest or the level of interest that they are. It's always been in my mind that I would like to pass something on to the children. I've chosen to pay back at $400 a month to match the interest, because otherwise there won't be a house. When I fall off the twig, a place will be here for the children to have. And in the meantime, I've allowed myself to live here how I want. I'm not in a poky little room in an old people's home. I'm living out in the forest where I want to be.
There's a lot of claims made that I call it scaremongering, to say we're suggesting that people will have to sell their house to fund their retirement. It's not at all. The example that we have in the review is that if someone used the pensioner loan scheme, they had a $500,000 house, a pensioner at 67 drew $5,000 a year off the equity in their house. At age 92 and some conservative consumptions in house price growth, that person would still have 75% equity in their house. They don't have to sell their house, they've got 75% equity in the house that they can pass on to the kids, but an extra $5,000 a year for someone on the pension is a substantial improvement in their retirement outcome. It's an asset there that is underutilised that I think people should be thinking about making more use of their house to fund themselves in their retirement.
Callaghan also it does say, in fact, that home equity should be used in retirement as well. What's wrong with that?
Firstly, it would be about forcing people to use it. I don't believe in forcing people to use it. You shouldn't be forced to eat your own home. But also, reverse mortgages at the moment are very expensive.
Do you think that home equity should be used in some way? Is there something the government can do to ensure that that happens?
We don't want to compel people to use home equity, but it should be there as a flexible option, and it already is there as a flexible option.
Obviously, this is a really difficult time for retirees now. What's your advice to retirees facing the situation at the moment with interest rates almost zero, certainly lower than they've ever seen before?
Yeah, this is really hard because obviously if you're very young, you can take on a lot more risk, and you know that over the next 30 or 40 years, you'll end up okay. Once you're hitting very close to retirement age, you want to really push that risk profile down, and so you tend to go to interest rate, fixed interest investments. That's paying you nothing now. But I would still caution that it's probably better to get a very low return that is guaranteed rather than to face high risk. And you should never invest anything unless you can afford to lose it, basically. It was advice given to me a long time ago. You need to be cautious, but my ultimate advice would be get a professional. I'm not a financial advisor. Get a professional and understand your risk profile. What can you put at risk? What should you save?
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.